Hi, I'm Spencer Lodge. Welcome to the Spencer Lodge podcast in partnership with Najahi Events, the biggest event management company here in the UAE. They recently had Tony Robbins here. You probably caught on to what was going on with the hype around that. Alicia Keys, Nick Vujicic, Prince EA, a mega event. And this is what Najahi Events are real specialists at. Coming up, okay, believe it or not, we potentially have got Grant Cardone coming to Dubai, Gary Vaynerchuk, and maybe even Michelle Obama. So look out, follow Najahi Events, and you'll see what is coming up on the schedule soon. Okay, on to the podcast. In today's episode of the podcast, I interviewed the awesome Shahad Ballan, well, the youngest newsreader here in the Middle East, okay? She's got her own TV show also on MBC, okay? She's a real talent in the world of media, a real celebrity over here, but also she's had a struggle that she's gone through because she was involved in a massive car accident a few years ago, okay? Nearly took her life and she had to recover from that, and that struggle that she went through was what I was wanting to find out all about. Shahad shares her story. She's open and honest and frank with every part of it, but hey, I'm not going to tell you everything here. Cue the music. Let's get stuck into it. Please enjoy. So Shahad Ballan, did I say it right?
Yes, actually, one of the few people who said it right.
Tell me more about what this name means. It sounds quite exotic.
So Shahad in Arabic, it's honey, but it's the raw honey,
the honeycomb?
When it's still in the wax.
Uh-huh.
Yes, like when it hasn't been extracted yet. So that's Shahad. Shahad.
Is it a popular name?
Yeah, it's from what I know, it's an Iraqi name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it hasn't been popular. I mean, I remember when I was in school, I was the only girl called Shahad.
You were?
And then, yeah, even in university, I've met maybe one or two girls called Shahad. Now it's becoming more popular.
So you're a bit of a celebrity, really, aren't you? You're a TV star. Do you think of yourself as one of those?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't think of myself as a celebrity. But yeah, I am a TV personality. Yeah. Humble.
You
humble,
really are
right?
either humble or nervous.
Yeah.
So tell us about the TV show.
So I'm doing a TV show called Hamsa on MBC One. We have filmed, it's new, so it's been on air for a year now. Now we're starting season 2. It's a women related topics, family related topics, lifestyle show where I co-host with 4 other ladies who are basically each one of them has she has a specialty or a career, a certain career. So one is so she's a fashion designer, another is a cook, one is a doctor, and the other is a fitness trainer. So I combine all of these different fields of life into one show called Hamsa. So we talk about everything anyone would basically be interested in.
And when it comes to being a host of a TV show, are you part of the process of creating it, or do they come to you with the idea, the concept first of all, and say, right, we want you to host this? Do you get involved in any part of that?
I do get involved, maybe not as much as I used to, but yes, I do, because now there's a very, very big team. So the team that are in charge of the production, the editorial, are all in Lebanon. So we work over WhatsApp, the phone, the whole time. Yes, most of the time they tell me we have to talk about this and this and this, because we do focus groups and we do research. We don't just choose a topic and let's talk about it. It has to be relevant to our audience. But at the same time, I do my part of research, as in let's talk about this. I want this guest. Let's talk about this story, that story, and we combine it. And if it's something that is relevant to our audience, then yes, script writing. It bothers me when someone writes my script. It bothers me. I mean, think about it. Imagine I'm telling you what to say.
Yeah.
It's annoying, right? Especially if I write it or if I combine things together, you'd feel like, no, this is not how I would say it. I would say it differently. So this is something that I would love to do always, all the time.
Do you script everything, or do you kind of bullet point stuff?
I never script.
Okay.
I bullet points.
Okay, same as me.
Yeah, I read the script. Of course, there's a script that is written, but then I scribble and scratch and bullet point, and then I just improvise most of it. I mean, I've reached to this point because I've had a lot of experience on television.
Yeah, so you mean you were one of the youngest news presenters?
Yes.
Ever in the Middle East?
At my time, yes. When I joined MBC, I was 23, turning 24, and I was given.
So you've been on television for 1 year now, then, yeah?
That's sweet.
I just want some brownie points.
Yeah.
So just take us through that journey then, because most people, well, a lot of people would like to be on television. A lot of people think that it's kind of glamorous and exciting and interesting.
It is, but it's a lot of hard work.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But I would think that most people wouldn't even know where to start to think about how they would get onto television. So just give us that journey. So how did you get there in the first place?
I never wanted to go on TV.
Oh,
and
really?
it was never something that even crossed my mind for like a second, not once. It was basically when I graduated, I got this opportunity to work at DMI, Dubai Media Incorporated, and which included all the Dubai channels like Sama Dubai, Dubai TV, Dubai One. So I was assigned as a researcher in Dubai One. So that was my job. I researched. I carried tapes and I ran like a runner would do. You know, my job was very basic. At that time, I thought, I hate this job. But now I realize that it shaped up a lot of things in my career. I don't do anything now without researching, and I realized how important it is to research so much. So I was a researcher, and a couple of months after after joining Dubai One, I was approached by this executive producer, amazing guy. We're still friends till today. He basically called me to his office, and he was in Dubai TV, the Arabic channel, which I had nothing to do with. So I was like, why is this guy, what does he want with me? So I walk into his office and he asks, would you like to be on television? I'm like, no. He's like, would you like to try? I'm like, no, you can't try that. You want me to look stupid. I'm like, listen, I don't think I'm pretty. That's what I told him. I think I'm fat. Look at the way I thought before, how stupid I was. But it was true. It was reality, I mean. So I told him, I don't think I'm pretty. I think I'm fat. I don't have any experience on camera, and I don't think I've got it. So he's like, okay, fair enough. Would you like to pilot? I'm like, what's a pilot? He said, just pilot. We'll film a pilot. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You've got nothing to lose. And if it works out, we'll see where it goes. So I'm like, okay, fine. I remember so well that we filmed the pilot on a Monday or a Tuesday. Of course, I was given the script and I abided by the script like word by word because I had no idea what to do. And it was a Monday or a Tuesday we filmed the pilot. On a Thursday we received approval from the management. On the following Sunday or Monday we were filming the first episode of the first season of my own show on Dubai television. And I was still a researcher. So I was a researcher in Dubai One for 5 days a week, and then on the weekend I would go with Dubai TV and film my own show. So I was working 7 days a week for about a year and a half. And
what kind of a show was it?
It was called Al Mawad. It was a tourism show around the UAE.
And so, do you remember, can you take me back to that moment when you were first in front of the camera? How did you feel?
To be honest with you, I didn't feel awkward.
Oh, okay.
I didn't feel awkward. I was nervous.
Of course.
But I didn't feel awkward. Like, what am I doing?
And how long did it take you to realize that you liked it?
That I liked it?
That you liked doing it, yeah. Was it like a 5 minutes you were like, I like this? Or was it?
Every time I'm happy with the content, I remind myself of how much I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
Yeah.
So from that beginning,
yeah,
you then went on to be a recognized face on television constantly.
Yes. And then I joined MBC.
So did you join NBC because you were looking for more creative opportunities on television, or did it come to you?
It's funny. I'll tell you this funny story. Maybe not a lot of people know, but I was living in the dormitory at the university campus, and the view from my room was NBC. It was in Media City. So I used to sit on the window of my own room, and I used to say, one day I'm going to work here. One day I'm going to work here. Because NBC, you know, it's huge, and when you hear NBC, it's a big name, and at that time I was like starstruck. So I wanted to, either I'm going to continue my studies and do filmmaking in USC in California, or if my dad doesn't let me, which he didn't, I'm gonna stay here and I want to work in NBC. I want to get the experience, save up the money, and then leave. And when NBC approached me after 2 years of working with Dubai TV, I promise you, Spencer, I didn't even look at my job title. I didn't see it. I didn't see the salary. I don't want to know how much they were willing to pay. I'm like, where do I sign? Where do I sign? I was that happy, and I was that like fulfilled. And then I realized, oh, I should have asked for more.
Do you look at it as one of your great accomplishments?
Joining NBC?
Yeah.
It's a turning point in my life. It's not an accomplishment. It's a turning point. It shaped up my whole career. I mean, I'm very grateful and thankful for this opportunity, but I don't consider it an accomplishment. I'm happy that NBC saw the skills that I've got, and they nurtured it, and I'm grateful for that. Always will be.
What was family life like for you when you were a kid?
Difficult. So we're a household of my mom, my dad, and we're 4 girls. So I have 3 sisters. We don't have any brother. My parents are amazing people. I mean, they're very simple. They're as simple as you can imagine someone to be. They're very, very simple. They don't want anything in life except, you know, be happy and be content. And
that's not a bad thing.
No, that's not a bad thing. But it was hard because at the time when we were growing up, just like every single culture or Arab culture, my grandparents from my father's side put a lot of pressure on my father and my mother that you have to have a son, and but he never did. And I always I grew up listening and hearing bits and pieces from, you know, uncles or grandparents or grandmother, or even him sometimes. I used to see it in his eyes when I was a kid. So I always felt that I wanted to be the son that he never
Where are
had.
you in the chain of the
I'm
4?
the second eldest. So both me and my sisters we were very close to each other. Like he was sad all the time, not all the time, but he was very stressed, and he felt like, who's he working for? You know, he wants a son. At that time, like now, things are totally different. My dad really developed and grew out of this phase, but that was when we were young. And my mom always, like, I don't know, maybe our society made her always feel guilty that she couldn't have a son.
Yeah, of course.
But she didn't care. She knew that we were, you know, everything she's got, and she wanted to give us the best. She pushed a lot for us to get the best education. She believed that because we were girls in such a society, we have to have education. It's our only tool. Because we had no brother, and we were far away from home. So born and raised in the UAE, we had no family, like no uncles around or no one to, you know, help with the upbringing or support. So she knew that we were gonna end up alone, 4 girls alone. So she wanted us to have this good education. My dad wasn't like in on it so much, so there was a lot of conflict in the house. But then he realized, like today he realized, and he says it, having 4 daughters is like having 40 boys. That's what he says today.
Well, I have 2, and I won't disagree.
Yeah, that's what he says
Must
today.
be tough, yeah.
So it was like a journey of, you know, trying to change his mind and this mentality, which I don't blame him for it, you know. It's how, you know, he was born and raised in a village in Syria, so I wouldn't blame him, but I was happy to have some sort of part in changing that mentality.
Did you take, then, as you grew up, did you take education yourself really seriously? That your mum wanted you to get good education, but did you say, right, I'm going to go out and do my best?
No,
or did
no.
you kind
In
of
high school, no. In high school, I was very bad. I was very naughty. I mean, yeah. And if any of my teachers or principals are watching this, they would nod yes. But I never used to study. I never used to study in school. But then in 2004, my father says, "Pack your bags. You're going to Syria." And it was.
Hold on, how old were you at this time?
I was 15, turning 16. Okay. Yeah, it was 2004.
And you'd lived here all your life, 15, turning 16. He said,
yes.
You're going back to Syria.
And then he said, chop, chop, back home.
And he meant it?
Yes. And we did, actually. So my mother, my elder sister, she was already at university. So it was me and my two other sisters. We went back to Syria with my mother. And he stayed here, and my sister was in university. And I hated my dad. I hated him.
I can imagine.
Because we were in an American school, and in Syria the schools are in Arabic, and our Arabic was very, very weak. Mm-hmm. Everything was different. You know, I witnessed snow for the first time in my life at the age of 16. I never knew what cold really was. It was a very tough experience, very tough experience, and we stayed there until 2006. So I agreed with my father at that time. I'm like, Dad, if I study, and I get good grades, I want to go to the US. I want to go to USC. I want to do filmmaking. So we made a promise, and he made a promise that, okay. And then I locked myself for 2-3 months in my room in Syria, and I studied like I've never studied before. I've never studied like that in my life until today. That time I'd never, if I could eat those pages, I would have. And I got very good grades, and then I'm like, so it's your turn now, you know. And he said, I can't send you. 1, I financially cannot afford it. 2, you're too stubborn, and it scares me to send you, 17-year-old girl on your own to the US. And I hated him even more because he broke this promise that I stayed studying for 2 years, waiting for this moment, and he broke his promise. So I spoke to my sister who was here in Dubai in university, and I told her, Ghalia, I have to leave Syria. And that's when I sent her all my grades, I sent her all my paperwork, and she applied for the scholarship from His Highness's office, Sheikh Mohammed, and I received the scholarship after 30 days from the application, and I flew, and then I realized I was still a teenager at that time. So I told my dad, I don't need you. I don't need you to study. I don't need you for education. And that's the mentality I had. I was wrong, but I was a very angry teenager. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's how I got into AUD. And yeah, that's when I think, life took its own.
Did it take time for that relationship then to calm, and you then to regain that warmth that you have towards your dad, or is it still to this day?
No, today my relationship with my father is amazing, because my father, my parents are simple. He knows where he went wrong, and what he should have done. But I don't blame him. Today, I don't blame him. He couldn't send me to the US because he couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. So at that time, I didn't really understand it. But now, that I work and make money, I know what a big responsibility it is. Mm-hmm. And he has 3 other girls. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't be selfish. Now we understand each other, we relate to each other, and we talk about it. And I'm his biggest supporter, his biggest, hooray, I'm right there behind you. And he's to me, he's that to me. But it took a couple of years. Yeah.
Now, you had an accident.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
What do you want to know?
Well, I've heard the story, but obviously my audience would probably benefit from hearing it from you as to what happened and how it impacted upon you, and the fact that I know that your employer was very gracious during the period that you struggled. So.
Yeah. Not going into details of what happened in the accident itself. I mean, I was, broken from head to toe.
So it was a car accident?
Yeah.
And it happened here in Dubai?
It happened here in Dubai. It was because of a speeding driver. And
you were a driver or a passenger? Or?
No, it was another car. He was speeding on the highway. We were on the way to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, but were you driving or were you a passenger?
No, I was a passenger.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a driver who passed away in the accident. It was horrible at that time, but it has changed my life. Like today, if you ask me, Shahad, would you imagine yourself today if the accident never happened? I wouldn't be able to even picture it. Sometimes we want something, okay, let's imagine it and work our minds to it and see it and imagine it and picture it. I can't. I'm unable to picture myself without this accident. And I think that it has shaped everything in me today, because I don't know, I've seen a lot. I was 27 years old. So a 27-year-old, I mean, so many thoughts
You
were...
don't even look 27 years old. You don't even look 27 years old. You
so
genuinely
sweet.
don't.
Really?
Yeah, genuinely.
I'm 30.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. I'm 30 today, yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to let you go with this because I really want to understand what happened here, and I'm sorry if I'm going to open up some layers here.
Yeah.
I know that if you have an accident, that I had spinal surgery and it was life-changing for me. How I thought about life, how I positioned everybody in my life at that time, and then how I positioned the world.
Important.
How much anger I had for people that I should never have had, and how much I was leaning on people that I'd never leant on before. So I've got some sense of this type of stuff. You're minding your own business, you're in a car accident, it's a very serious car accident, and you're severely injured from head to toe. So it means you can't do your work, of course. How long did it take you to recover physically from the accident?
Physically, in general, it took me 3 years of continuous surgery and therapy.
3 years?
Around 3 years, yeah. Like two years and a couple of months.
Okay. And how long did it take you to recover emotionally?
I'm still recovering until today. Yeah.
And I'm going to find out. So
yeah.
When you do you still hold somebody accountable? Do you still blame?
I don't like to do this blaming, because once you drown in, like you dwell in this, you'll find yourself drowning more and more. The reason, technically, realistically, the reason behind the accident is a speeding driver. To me, it's very important to say it. Every single time someone asks me about the accident, it was because of a speeding driver. It's irrelevant who he is,
no, yeah, absolutely,
or what he is. He was a speeding driver. So when you speed, because I want people to understand that, each and every one of us think that he might get sick, he might have his leg broken, he might die, but me, I'm protected from God. Nothing's gonna happen to me. We all think like this, like nothing's unprotected, because we never actually anticipate anything bad happening to us.
Correct.
And we take life and we take everything for granted. We empathize with a lot of people. If we see someone sick or we hear of someone who's been in an accident, we feel like, oh, I can't imagine what he's feeling. And we never think for a second, it might be us. It might be us. So if you think that you are so strong enough to drive on the road so fast, recklessly, and get away with it, maybe you would get away with it once or twice, and maybe that's because you're lucky. But maybe one day you won't. So why risk it? And I say that if people want to speed, there are designated places to go and release this energy or adrenaline. And if you, again, if you don't care about your life, there are people on the road who have something to live for. So you can't be this selfish and think, oh, I want to drive because I'm such a good driver. No one said you're not. Yeah, you are a good driver. But there are bad drivers around you, so, you know.
And if you did cause an accident, then you have to live with that for the rest of your life.
Yes, of course.
One crazy moment for the rest of your life.
Of course.
Which I would imagine...
It's like you're paying someone else, you're paying the price for someone else's mistake. And this is not a nice feeling. But I try not to play the blaming game.
Did anything good come out of it for you?
Oh, a lot of things.
Tell me what came out of it that was good.
It was funny. I worked in television and I was on TV. And it was always because everyone thought I was a pretty face, except myself. I never saw myself pretty. And I never saw myself, oh, yeah, I'm so pretty, I should be on TV. I mean, you're not just on TV because you're pretty. Of course, you need to have other skills. But it is a necessity in this industry to be presentable. And I used to hear compliments a lot on how pretty I was. And I never used to believe it. I never saw myself pretty. And I was not self-confident. I had a lot of issues. I was very, I used to get anxiety when I would be, around a lot of people. And this was my career, but how can it be? It was very conflicting. I never really saw myself the way I see myself today. And it's funny because I say now, like, I was pretty. But today I see myself prettier. And I love myself more from the inside. On the outside. I'm more comfortable with all of my scars around my body. And I never thought I would ever be. Like, if I would get a scratch, I'd worry that it would leave a scar. And today it's like, who am I? You know? So it's the way I look at myself. It's the way I perceive myself. I used to care so much about what people thought of me. So much. It meant the world to me. If someone said, I don't like her, I will not sleep. It'll really put me down. Today, oh God, I don't care. You can love me, you can hate me, you can say whatever you would like to say. But I feel like I am so complete on my own that I don't need anyone's tap on the back or acceptance.
Validation, yeah.
I don't need that. And I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful. But it took me a long while to reach to this.
You've got 300,000 or so followers on Instagram as a social media channel. When we talk about caring about what other people think, I was interviewing recently Rawan bin Hussein. She was talking to me about how her audience grew with such a huge amount of haters in the beginning.
Yeah.
And how she was over in London studying all on her own, and she said, I was getting these great comments from people I didn't know, and then these really horrible comments.
Of course.
With 300,000 followers as an audience, obviously you get your fair share of feedback. Does ever any? We spoke before we started filming about inspiring people. Do you get haters first of all? Do you get haters on social media?
Course.
How do you deal with them?
I mean, it depends. Sometimes, see, I'm human at the end of the day. So on a day where I feel strong, it would make me laugh. Another day where I'm feeling a bit down, or something didn't work out, or my self-esteem is not, it would bother me. I am human at the end of the day. And it's a problem because this is bullying, and nobody understands how hurtful it could be. You might say, like, anything, it could be so silly. And you know that they're wrong, but why say it, You either have something good to say, or don't say anything at all.
I had a guy once when I was filming something outside of here, and I'd made a video and somebody wrote a comment, I bet you don't even live on the palm, you effing this, see that, all these bad words he wrote. Really,
he does
really
live
nasty,
on the palm,
yeah?
and I'm loving his view.
And the following night after that came out and I read the comment, I went with one of my neighbours for a walk, which we do once a week. And so we were taking a stroll up one of the streets. And this guy was walking towards us. Didn't know who he was, didn't pay any attention. As he passed us both, he turned around and he said, "Are you Spencer Lodge?" I went, "Yeah, I am, nice to meet you," thinking he'd obviously recognised me from social media. I said, "Nice to meet you." He said, "The other night," he said, "I was drunk and I wrote a really nasty comment on a video that you made, talking about the fact I didn't think that you lived on the farm and you must be lying, etc." He said, "And now I can see you walking up the farm. I think I need to apologise to you."
Wow.
Completely out of the blue.
But I salute that person, for coming forward.
For being honest enough to say. I mean, it was by chance that we saw each other. And then one other issue I had one day was somebody wrote a really nasty comment, and I deal with nasty comments in a kind way. So my response always is, look, if my content isn't good enough for you, give me some tips about how I can make it better for you. And it disarms people. And then one guy wrote back, he said, "I've been sat on the toilet for the last hour trying to delete this." He said, "I can't delete it. I'll never ever troll again, no matter what I do."
Yeah.
So I find that when people have got something that negative to want to say, that I don't think they're choosing you. I think they're choosing something within themselves to vent at.
True.
And so I think if I deal with it with empathy and humour, okay, first of all, I have to laugh because I just imagine what might be going on in their head in that moment. But then some empathy, rather than going on. I've done it before when I first learned how to do it. I made all the mistakes. I retaliated. They gave me. I gave it straight back, and it doesn't do anything. Or delete and block, all that kind of stuff. And I just decided that there's a reason for people to write this kind of stuff. There's something going on in the world. Is there a way I can connect with them because I've got their attention?
Yeah.
For them to have written something, I have their attention.
And sometimes you would actually see that when I press on their profile, you would see that, oh, they're following you. But why would you be following me if you think I am so bad? But then I realized that I must be interesting to you in some way, in some sort of way, or entertaining at least. And that, but forget haters. I mean, when you receive so much love, these messages don't matter anymore. It's like a mood.
No, that's absolutely right. Yeah, you can get 1,000 people to hate you,
yes.
but one people, like I got a message today saying, "Spencer, you inspire me."
Yeah.
That one
or
message.
You've changed my life.
That's enough. That I don't need anybody else to comment ever again. I've had an impact on one person, and it was worth it.
Yeah. And then you'd feel stupid if you get upset from a bad comment. Like you've just received a beautiful message from someone who's told you that you've changed their lives, you've inspired them. And how amazing is that? So I think living in that moment and just letting yourself be happy, like Prince, like the video you showed me
Prince,
a while, and it's being grateful and thanking God. I mean, I've received a lot of messages. I still receive a lot of messages from girls specifically who had car accidents and who have scars. Even mothers who undergo cesareans, it leaves a scar on your body,
of course.
and it's sometimes it's not a nice scar, and you might not see that scar, but it's there, and she knows that it's there, and it affects her self-esteem somehow. Even it could be with her husband, or with her kids, or in front of her parents.
Isn't it funny how men wear a scar like a medal?
Yeah.
So much more than women do. I have a scar across here with a metal plate in my collarbone.
And it's like, oh, I'm strong.
It's like, hey, yeah. And if I go anywhere, I'm like, yeah, just be careful about that. There's a metal plate there.
Yeah.
And to kind of like show it off. It's interesting to see how we as human beings look at that kind of stuff.
A lot of people sometimes out of the blue when I travel or something, "Oh, why'd you have a scar?" "I got into a fight." And they'd go like, and I'd say it with a very straight face. And they'd go like, oh.
What do I do with that?
Yeah. And I just leave it there and I let them believe that, But yeah, for men, it's like, it's an honor. I read this beautiful quote the other day. It's like, it says, a person without a scar is a person who hasn't lived at all. And it's like a tattoo. When you get a tattoo that reminds you, like you want to be reminded of something forever. A scar is exactly the same thing. And I wear mine like like a badge, like a medal.
That's cool. Do you have many?
I have many.
Because all those operations, you must have them.
Yeah, I have many. I mean, I don't know how many, but over 10 scars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You had a lot of stuff done. Okay, let's just go back to social media for a second. With the advent of Netflix and Stars Play and other channels like that, and obviously Saudi Arabia being obsessed with YouTube, when you see yourself, they're the second biggest users of YouTube in the world, only after the States. So when you look at that type of consumption through those channels and you compare it to conventional television.
Oh, this question. So
the reason I find the question really interesting is
it's relevant, though.
It's the habits of the millennial generation, X generation, Y, and so for me, when I look at someone that does what you do, and then I take, I don't know, let's take someone like David Letterman, who's a huge chat show host in the United States, The Late Show. He was on television for 30 years. Now he has his show, I think, what's his show? On Netflix called Without... What is it? When he interviews Barack Obama and Lewis Hamilton and Jay-Z.
Yes, and Barack Obama and Kanye West.
You know the show anyway.
Yeah, of course I know.
So he needs no introduction.
My guest.
Yeah, and today my guest, I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Don't think about it because you won't be able to get it.
Okay, yeah.
So he takes a show and puts it there. You take the guys from Top Gear in the United Kingdom that had probably the biggest TV show on the BBC ever, along with all the revenue it made in different magazines and everything else. And they've taken it, they got paid fortunes and a much bigger budget to go onto Amazon.
True.
When you look at that, and you look at yourself, you're a young lady, you've got a lot of years ahead of you, and if you stay in television or if you stay in media...
I die.
Do you think you'll...
Say it, Spencer, say it.
I'm not going to say that. Do you think you'll head into those other channels eventually, or do you get excited about it?
We're all exposed to all channels. So me professionally working in MBC, of course we're a TV channel. Now if you compare the Middle East to the West, there's a big difference. Right now, there's a big difference where you could say we're like 10 years behind when it comes to this digital evolution. Yes, in Saudi, YouTube is the most used platform. And it's very common between Saudis, but what age group? It's the young generation. Okay, what about the families that MBC has aired for the past 26 years, 20? So these families, what do they do? What does your mom watch? What does your aunt watch?
Oh, my mum's 74.
Yeah.
She lives in Cyprus.
Okay.
And she doesn't watch television. She watches Netflix.
Oh, you have a cool mom then.
But my mum's on Instagram, so so it's maybe a bit different. But no, you're right. Okay, I understand your point. You're saying the youngsters.
Thinking about Saudi and the Middle East in general, the Morocco, Tunis, Egypt. You need to consider that these countries. What's the internet penetration there? And what is the cost? Can they afford it? How much money do they make? What is how big are the middle class? Do you have poverty? You know, these people who cannot afford to have internet or iPads. So we're not. MBC is for every single Arab home. It has been home for everyone. And sometimes you would walk into any Arab home and you'd find MBC on the television. The person could be muting it, could be watching YouTube as well, but MBC is there.
But if you have MBC here, you pay for MBC.
No.
Of course you do. You have to pay it with your subscription for your decoder box.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
So you're paying for it. So whether you're paying for Stars Play or MBC or Netflix, you're still paying for it.
Yeah, but that's in Dubai. I mean, in other like in Syria, for example, you get MBC One for free.
Okay.
In countries like Syria, Lebanon, or you get MBC
that's
for free.
TV.
Yeah, that's just public free TV, and MBC.
See, in England,
MBC has been part of that.
We don't even get BBC for free in England.
Yeah, I know.
You have to pay a television license fee.
Yeah.
So
that's why I told you we're behind. We're still behind because there's a lot of culture to take into consideration. Yet MBC has done a lot of efforts in combining both the television and digital together. I mean, my show, my show is aired on television, episodes, seasons, but we film completely different content, and we create content for YouTube. And then we create different content for Instagram. Okay. So there's a lot of effort that's done to be able to cater to all of your audience and all of the
that
age
helps to
groups.
answer the question then,
Yes,
because if
of
you're
course.
producing that content for those channels,
Of
to me it
course.
says you're very aware of them.
Of course.
And they play a part in everyday life for a lot of people.
course.
So you need to be there as well.
Yes. But in my personal opinion, this should have been done 5 years ago or more even. This should have been done. I mean, now we're so involved as television, we're so involved with digital, and we are creating content for digital. This, in my personal opinion, should have been done before, years ago.
But it wasn't, and it hasn't, and we can't change what's happening.
Yeah,
in the
but now
past.
it's happening, which is great, and MBC is pioneering at it, because it's, which other TV channel is doing that? I mean, MBC has Shahad now, and you have its own original content. It's going, it's doing amazing. So, so yeah, they are pioneering, just like they pioneered in television. They are pioneering in this.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at your future. What's your ambition? What's your goal? What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to go?
That's a lot of questions in one.
It's the same question.
To be honest with you, I don't know where I want to go. I don't know where I'm going to be. I know one thing, two things actually for sure. One is finish writing my book.
Tell us about that.
So basically, I started to write this book around a year and a half or 2 years ago, after the accident, and I never intended it to be a book. I was just writing, and because during the accident I was not able to speak, and I was not able to move, so nothing in my body was moving except my right hand. So I had no way of expressing except with words, with written words, and so I wrote pages and pages and pages, and I combined them into very small articles, very short articles, a series of articles in Arabic, and then I stopped. As soon as I was back on TV, and as soon as I obviously regained my health, I stopped writing, and I was too busy with everything else, getting my life back together. So now I want to go back to writing, and I want to do this book. This book is obviously about my journey throughout this whole, the whole accident, the before, the after, the during. It's, in my opinion, it's a story that has to be told, not because it was me or not because I was superwoman or I overcame something so tragic, no. It's because I know for a fact that if you or X or Y reads it, it will change your life. And this is why I want to write this book, because I know that it will change someone's life, and it's worth writing. It's worth telling. It's a story worth telling.
I just asked you a question about your goals and your ambitions, and I didn't take into consideration in that question, in that second, the fact that you've just been through something dramatic, which I would assume almost make you think about living for the day as opposed to living for the future. Do you think a lot of that? Do you think a lot like you're the kind of person that says, after what I've been through, today is a good day and I'm going to live the day and really enjoy the day, as opposed to a lot of people that in 1 year time,
True.
in 2 years time, in 3 years time?
Yeah. I'm someone who loves to know things in my life, know what I want. I love to be, in control. In my interview in the beginning with MBC, I was asked, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm like, one of the most prominent faces on MBC. That was my answer. I knew straight away where I wanted to be in 5 years. Now ask me where I want to be in 5 years. I have no idea, because I might tell you one thing and it might never happen. So at the same time, I don't live my life day by day, no, I'm too young to feel this or too young to do that. But I'm much more realistic and careful and much more ambitious. So now I don't care about being on TV. I love being on TV because it's a platform for me to send across a message, and not because, oh, I see myself so pretty or I'm famous. No. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, staying in this box and in this frame to me does not necessarily mean the future this time. I'd love to be my own boss one day and have my own thing going on, my own business.
Tell me about that. That's being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Do you like that word?
It's amazing. I mean, yeah, the word, yeah, but I love what it means.
Yeah, what it means.
I love what it feels like.
Do you consider yourself one almost already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Why?
Because I've got my business plan and I'm approaching investors at the moment, and I feel I started to think like one. And once you put yourself in this mentality of I'm not an employee anymore, and I'm not only waiting for my end of the month salary. No, it's like you're changing your mentality. You're not working for money anymore. You're making money work for you, and it just changes the way you view things, everything. And now recently I started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad book.
Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah.
You've read it?
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, it's amazing. And
there's a really good book you should read. It's called Making It Happen.
I know.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I know, Spencer. I know. I'll make sure to read.
I'm going to give you a copy before you leave. I'm only joking.
I would love to read that.
Okay, so tell if you're an entrepreneur
Yeah.
and you're starting a business and you want to grow it and you're looking for investors, what is it? Tell us about the business.
I can't.
Tell us a little bit. Give us a sneak.
I can only tell you that it is.
What industry is it?
Online.
Online. Okay, so you that's everything.
Not really.
Everything's online.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to be. But give me a tiny bit more than that, for goodness sake. There's investors that will be listening to this. Tiny bit.
I can only see. I have two partners, and they'll kill me if I just spill one word. But I can only tell you it is related to. It's an edutainment.
Edutainment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Edutainment. And how long have you been working on the project?
2 years.
Okay, and when you started to get involved with it, was it your brainchild, or did somebody come to you with a kind of part of an idea that you kind of collaborated on?
So me and my two partners, it was one of my partners who came to us and who told us 1, 2, 3. But that's it, like it was very basic. It was that, let's do this. And then we slept on it, and then we met again and we talked about it, and we thought how it would work in the Middle East. See, that's another hint. And we, ever since then, we evolved it, we developed it, we made it grow into something that we never thought it's going to grow into. And there was a lot of creative thinking done in the process, in the 2-year process, and it was amazing because I just finished my master's, and I've finished master's in leadership and digital innovation. So my whole 2 years of master's, me and my two partners were about this project, so this business model, and this is how we developed it, with a lot of support and help from professors and speakers and entrepreneurs who came along and who gave us bits and pieces of their experience. So I do owe it to the master's program at AUD because it provided us access to a lot of startups like Kareem. I can't recall, like so many, even Shahad, how it started. So many entrepreneurs and startups came, and Rami, to talk about how they started and what they faced, and so we got insights that we wouldn't have gotten anywhere else. And this is why I think in 2 years it took us a long time to actually create this business model and this whole and it's worth it. And it's complete. It's now complete. And yeah, in the right time, I promise you that you'll be one of the first people to know. And I'll come here again on this day.
Will you share it with everyone?
With my 2 partners.
Okay,
yes,
cool. That'd be good.
And we'll tell you all about it, because it's, in my opinion, it will change education in the Middle East.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think education is in vast need of improvement.
Yes.
It hasn't changed for 40 years.
Yes.
So for me, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in changing how we learn.
Yes.
So, okay. So basically you've told me a tiny bit about it. Now, I'll ask all of my audience to try and be creative and fabricate it into something that it might well be.
Guess in the comments.
So, entrepreneurialism, okay, you've essentially had some success, you then fall off a cliff, you then, well, because of the accident, then you climb back again, and as you climb back up there, you achieving success, and you're now spreading your wings into other areas, which is essentially very exciting for someone of your age. Do you imagine yourself settling down and being a mum and being a family person, or do you think you'll always have ambition inside of you and you'll always want to, go?
But who said being a mom will take your ambition away?
Well, that's again. Let's get into that debate if you want, because I'm well versed in it.
I got you there.
I remember I have an assistant called Sarah that's worked with me now for 13 years, and my business partner Danielle has worked with me for the same amount of time. And they both got pregnant within about 4 weeks of each other.
Wow, lots of hormones to deal with.
Two closest people to me in business, and I was like, "You're killing me." But
no,
some people
it's
want
a challenge.
to. Some people, it's nothing to do with what's right and wrong. It's about some women want to stop and become a mum, and they don't want to focus on their career.
I don't want to stop.
Other people don't. My mum was a working mum all the way through. My parents got divorced when I was 7 years old. So it's about how different people think about it. And the question was to you, what do you see?
I don't want to stop, because I live off my ambition, and it just feeds my soul. So I would never, I hope that I never stop that. But of course I want to settle, and of course I want kids. I want 8 kids, if I could. I am thinking of adopting in the future a lot of kids. And yeah, I have a lot of plans, but I would love to, just like every girl, to settle down with a partner and raise children and adopt maybe kids and love them like your own. And this is something that I would love to.
Have you got nieces and nephews yet from your sisters?
No, none of us are married.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And how much older is your older sister?
Just 3 years older than me.
Oh, okay. So you're really young, aren't you? It's probably not time yet, is it?
Yeah, I mean, time's changed.
That would be great.
For women, before, when you say that I'm 30 and I'm single, oh my God, she's never gonna get married. Who's gonna look at her? That was before. But now, I never imagined me getting married in my 20s. I mean, my mom was 21 when she was married and had my eldest sister. That's insane. When I was 21, all I wanted to do was, I don't know, go to Bounce or go watch a movie.
It's nuts when you think about it. But again, I don't think, I mean, I was married at 26 and then divorced at 31. And and that's because I got married, I didn't know anything about the world.
Yeah.
You know nothing. You need to get to 30 before you're wise.
Yes.
You're not as wise as you can be, but at least you've got a bit of experience. But I think that the world should ban anyone from getting married before they're 30 and having kids.
True.
But I think that
it's
gives,
healthier.
You make better decisions.
Yeah.
And now you can't tell a 25-year-old that, because they disagree with you till the cows come home.
I know.
Looking back with the benefit of hindsight, you know that you make better decisions. So you're at the right age now. From now for the next 10 years, that's then you're wise now, and you're wise that you can have that. Okay, last couple of questions for you before we finish. We spoke before we were on camera about Tony Robbins, and you've spoken about Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Are you a consumer of this type of content? Do you consume it? Do you read it? Apart from the book that you're talking about, do you consume other stuff? Do you look for people to inspire and motivate you? Do you look for?
Yes, of course I do.
You do?
Yeah, but
what kind of people hit the mark with you?
Everyone is inspiring. I mean, I don't look at certain people as you're inspirational, you're not. Everyone is inspiring. And you not only get inspired from people, you get inspired from situations, from certain incidents, from experiences. So I look for that every single day of my life. I can get inspired from the security at my building. I can get inspired from a cleaner or a CEO or an author. Anyone who relates to you could be inspired by you, and vice versa. So this exchange of knowledge, this exchange of words between two people can lead to inspiration.
Agreed.
So I look for that in my life every single day, with my dogs, with my friends, with the security, with the good morning every day. I mean, these little things to me are the basics of inspiration.
What made you buy or pick up the book Rich Dad Poor Dad then?
I was actually recently, I was on a traveling, so before I head to the airport, my younger sister, who is 23 now, happy birthday, she's 23 a couple of days ago, she gave me that book. She's like, take it, read it on the plane. I'm like, oh, nice. And she's only 23. Mm-hmm. So that's how I came to read this book. And it's been nice because I like books. I like to read books that help you change your mindset about something. Like Who Moved My Cheese? Mm-hmm. I read this also on the plane. Amazing. It's so basic and it's so simple. And you know what's funny? You know it. You already know it. Yeah. You know these things. You know these things. People know that you need to work hard, you need to study well, you need to put the effort, you need to be ambitious, you need to wake up every morning, do your bed, do exercise. People know these pieces of information. They read it everywhere. They see it all the time. But what happens is it has to come from within.
No, it doesn't. What happens is your mum can tell you to do the same thing over and over again, and it goes in one ear and out the other. Okay, and then I could tell you to do the same thing, and you're like, yeah. It's how the message is given to you, and the way, and when you're willing to receive it. Sometimes you're just not willing to receive it, and then sometimes you're open for it because maybe you're either vulnerable or you're searching and seeking. So for me, I've been saying the same thing for the last 30 years over and over and over again about certain issues.
Yeah.
And sometimes eventually people say, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it. And do you know what? When you said that, I then applied that and then I got this result. And I'm like, but I've known you for 10 years and I've been saying this to you for 10 years. I know.
It took that much time.
It just sometimes takes people to be in that I want to learn and apply. And it's like the person that loses weight. They get to a point if they become obese where they say no more.
No, yeah.
You know, and no more. Until they say no more, it's irrelevant.
Exactly.
Okay?
That's why it has to come from within. Mm-hmm. You have to make it your religion, this lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Religion teaches us a certain lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Everything is connected. Mm-hmm. So yes, we know all of these, but sometimes, like you said, how the message is portrayed and sent across. So this book, Who Moved My Cheese, I was laughing because I know all of these things. Mm. What is wrong with me? You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it just hits you like, I'm being lazy and stupid. And I like to read these quick books every now and then because sometimes I do like, I slow down sometimes.
Do you listen to audiobooks or just read?
No, I don't. I like to read.
Yeah, to read.
I like to flip pages.
Okay, so it's not even like the Kindle, you like the paper in your hand.
I love it, yeah.
I understand.
I love it.
It makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Look, I've taken a lot of your time. Thank you so much for coming to join me on the show.
Thank you so much.
It's been great fun talking to you.
Thank you. You too.
See you soon.
Thanks.
It means the world to me that you subscribe to my podcast, so please make sure that you do that. It means the world to me that you tell your friends that this is the best podcast that you've heard of here in the Middle East, if not the world. Come on. You can do it. So make sure if you think it's valuable, tell other people about it. Make sure you click here. Like I just said, if you want to see other episodes, then click there if you want to subscribe and get everything coming to you whenever I produce it. I'll see you soon.